All right, I think we're live. Just double check something real quick. All right, well, hello everyone. John Palladino back with Hot Takes Discussions, and I thought today I could talk about some of the merchandise I've had for my book, The Trials of Ashmount, and also talk about some books in general. And if anyone shows up and asks me any questions, I'll answer those as well. So before we really get into the merchandise stuff, figured I could talk about Ship of Magic for a minute by Robin Hobb. And it's a really good book so far. The first chapter, in my opinion, was really slow and boring. But otherwise, it's been really good. It's been a great read so far, actually. All right, so let me just make sure not to post about this. Okay. Whoops. Oh well. Anyway, I had some cool stuff to show off, and if anyone actually shows up, we'll interact, and if not, I'll just make this into a video. So, first things first, I sold some books to Silverstone's bookstore, and in trade, I got a few new cool books. Oh my god. Holly, one of the best people ever. How are you? It's good to see you. I did not expect such a high-profile YouTuber to show up here. Oh, hello. Look at us pick up people here. Cool. Anyway, I was just kind of rambling about how I just started reading this book, Ship of Magic. Very awesome book. The first chapter was by far one of the most confusing and boring chapters of a book I've read. But after that, it's been awesome. So I'm assuming the first chapter will make sense at some point. So I was also going to show off a few books I got from Silverstone's in trade for some of my own books that they're stocking. And the first one there is the second book in the Duckett and Dyer series. First book I thought was a good book. I think I'm going to like this one more, though. And then this is actually kind of an interesting discussion. How often do people buy a whole series of books before they read the first one? I'm typically I will buy the first book. Let me grab it. I will buy the first book. If I like it, I will buy the other ones. So I bought this book. I have not read it yet, but because I really like how it feels and looks, I know this is really strange, I also got the next two. And I don't generally do that, but I really like the quality of books. I've heard a lot about the series, and I am assuming I'm going to really like it. Sometimes I can just tell. We got another YouTuber in here. Hello, John. I always call you John, but I also know you by your other name on Facebook, and I can never remember what that is because I usually see you on Twitter. So I think you said you prefer the other name usually, but I always call you John because that's what I always see, and I apologize. I do it when I can get a deal on a box set. Yeah, I think I only own one box set of a book collection, and it was ironically the worst thing I think I've ever purchased, which was the box set of the Magician series. I saw the show on Netflix, and the show kind of tapered off for me. I didn't really like it that much. So I was like, I'll buy the books and read them because they're apparently amazing. And dear Lord, I don't understand how people got through that series of books, but to each their own. I used to buy the whole series before reading them, but not anymore. Yeah, honestly, it's probably safer that way. I have only done that once or twice and gotten really burned, and then I just said I did it with T.A. Bruno's series, but I tend not to unless I already am a big fan of the author. But even then, that can burn you because while I was a big fan of Brent Weeks for a very long time, I did not like how Lightbringer ended. And I bought those books as they released, though, and kept going because of my own stupidity, I guess. But figure out a couple bucks for like 12 Kindle books. It's not much of a risk. Actual paperbacks, I have to already like it. Yeah, so I guess that's kind of a difference in this conversation is that I only buy physical books. If you read digital, I guess it's a whole different ball game there because it's a lot less of a risk. When you buy three like these, I got well, actually not this book, but just these two books and the Duckett and Dyer book that I got. I mean, in hardcover, that was like $80-$90 just from that and shipping. Hardcovers are expensive. I don't normally actually prefer hardcovers, but for some reason I got these in a hardcover, so that's what I have. I have a hot take right now, probably. Well, it depends on who you are. This is my favorite size book, mass market paperback. I just love how it feels. I love how the paper feels. I love how it just feels to hold in your hand and read. But a lot of people think this is like the worst form of book. And as an indie author, I'm actually super pissed that I can't have my book in paperback. But, such is life. It's fair I go by my middle name, but author name works fine. I answer to both. Yeah, that's good because I always forget your middle name. Even though I see you on Facebook enough, I just generally spend most of my time on Twitter. You have to admit the box set indie authors get their hustle down to a science and it works. Andy Peliquin is the one I know best. Andy, I've heard a lot about his books and I've seen him around a lot. And he seems like a really cool dude. He seems like he probably writes books that I like. I've had people tell me I'd like his books. I've never read his books. I would like to eventually because I've heard they're really good. I've heard they're pretty dark too, but I don't actually know how true that is. But my God, he is he knows what he's doing. He has like 3,300 ratings on the first book in the series, I think. And all of his books have a ton of ratings. He knows what he's doing. I much prefer physical, but lately I found I read much quicker on my phone Kindle app. Plus, I hate messing up the awesome covers of the books I buy. Yeah, that's the catch-22 when you buy physical. You don't want to screw up the covers. In hardcovers, they have those jackets, and people take those off when they read them. But I always feel like if I take the jacket off, I'm going to ruin the jacket, so I always leave it on. But some people, I guess, have places they can put it and not ruin them. I feel like as soon as I take the jacket off a book, I'm going to ruin it. But yeah, as soon as I get a book, I just assume if I'm going to read it, it's not going to be in the perfect condition I wish, especially once I hand it off. I try and read books a lot more carefully. Like I typically don't break spines when I read. My mom is another matter entirely. So I will read a book. And actually, I just got lucky, I guess, because I just got this book from my mom who actually read it before I did. And she didn't break the spine or do anything bad to it. Usually, not to talk bad about my mom, but usually she's just not the cleanest reader, I guess you could say. The books usually come back a bit damaged, which is fine. I don't really care that much, but it's just funny because I'll read a paperback, I'll finish it, it will be like in immaculate condition, and then I'll be like, Mom, you should read this book, and then I get it back and it's like, okay, it looks used now, but that's okay. After moving 5 times in 10 years and again in 2 weeks, I've learned not to stock up on physical books until we're in a house. And good luck getting a house nowadays because, dear Lord, between the price and the wages and the down payments that you need, shit's hard. But we do what we can, right? I would also like to get my own house one day, but I see it looked like my webcam is flickering there, but never fear. I have a new one on the way. Very excited for a actual one because I use my built-in webcam on my laptop. And actually, annoying story about that is I bought this editing software for YouTube videos, but it's as far as I know, it's limited to your single device. So I bought it on my laptop and then decided, oh, I should get the actual webcam, which I can put on my desktop. But now I have to rebuy that software because it's only on one device. So that's annoying. I'm a millennial. We don't own houses. I am also a millennial. And I also don't plan on having a house anytime soon because, yeah, money. See, as unlikely as a house looks these days, might be Kindle books only for a while. Yeah, and honestly, if you're used to it, I don't see any reason why not to just stay there. Like, physical books are so expensive. It's like crazy. I'm an old millennial, just barely made the cut. Oh, yeah, I think you're older than me, aren't you? I'm 34. Okay, so I had something that I wanted to show you. I just don't know where I put it. Whatever. We'll get to that in a minute. So the purpose of this stream was mostly to stream in general because I like streaming, but also to show off a few merchandise things I've made for the Trials of Ashmount because the art is so cool. And about to turn 38, my bones creak with every breath of wind now. Yeah, man. You get into your 30s and it just seems like everything starts to not work the right way. So I made a few products with Teespring. And I was actually very apprehensive with that website. Teespring is just a generic website that I've seen where you have a template that you can put whatever artwork or words that you have, and then you can print stuff. And I was like, I bet this is like, crap, cheap crap made from a third world country that, mass produces stuff. Which it could very well still be, but I've been incredibly impressed and happy with what I've gotten. The art is the best. Yes, thank you. Get your money's worth with that art. Yes, the art cost for book 1, I think it was $1,800. For book 2, it's actually more. It's closer to $1,900, I think. And that's because the art of book 2 is a bit more complicated, I guess, for him to draw. And I was supposed to actually have the artwork already. Unfortunately, the artist, I'm going to say his name out loud, and I would be amazed if I got it correctly. I call it. I call him Dusan Markovic. It might also be Markovich. I'm not quite sure, and I might actually have that completely wrong. But he's a fantastic artist. So one of the things I got, maybe my favorite thing that I got from Teespring, I'm actually wearing right now. It's just just the logo, and if I got a sweatshirt that was the right size, it would probably sit where it's supposed to. But as someone who likes really oversized sweatshirts, I don't recall what size I got this. I think it might be a 3X. I guessed on what size I wanted to get from there to try it out. And uh, I like a big sweatshirt, but this one might have been a tad too big, but I like it. It's really nice and comfortable. It is very long, but it's nice. I like it. And super comfortable actually usually, and I don't know if it's just my font specifically or my art or if I just got lucky. I don't know. This has been in the wash quite a bit. I've worn this since I think I got this back in November. Um and I've washed it and there hasn't been any like flaking. Now I've heard that Teespring shirts and sweatshirts and stuff do start to flake after a while. I don't know if it's the shirts, if the hoodies are different, if it's the type of art or what. I've heard that if it's like if I put the whole cover on my shirt, that it would start doing that. I don't know if that's true or not, or if I'm just lucky with this. I don't know, but I have heard that there is like flaking and stuff, and that sucks, but it is what it is. Another thing I got from Teespring is I got a mug. Now the inside, I apologize if that looks really brownish, but it's stained because my mom uses it for tea. But I don't know how clear that's coming through, but that color is like really bright and really, really nice. The only criticism I have is that when you do print on demand stuff, you have this little space going here, but what can you do? What can you do otherwise? I mean, it's really bright and really shiny, and so you can't really complain about that. All right, well, let's see. We got some more comments here. A couple of tank tops my wife has flaked off after multiple washings. So I wonder if it's like the shirt or the design. I actually have shirts that I sell on the store as well. I didn't actually order any of those to test them though. I've sold merch through Teespring before, and it really is a hit or miss if flaking occurs. Yeah, I wish I knew why. What is the catalyst there? Is it the design? Is it the material? Are you just lucky if they printed on this printer or that one? I don't know. It's weird. Were you an SNES or Genesis kid? All right, you're gonna kill me. Neither. When I was a kid, I grew up right at the cusp of the go outside and play during the day type generation thing. So I think until I was about 12 or 13, I didn't own video games other than I don't remember when the original Game Boy came out, but I had an original Game Boy, and when I went to friends' houses, they had I think they had a Genesis. And then I went to the hospital to get my eye operated on when I was, oh dear, how old was I? I was in first or second grade, I think. I don't remember how old I was when this happened, and I can't remember specifically which grade I was. So anyway, 6 or 7, maybe 8. I don't know. And they had I don't know what they had there, but I was playing Mario on it. That's all I remember. It might have been just a Super Nintendo. Yeah, I don't remember what it was. But and then I had a cousin who stayed at my house once, and they had, I don't remember, a Genesis maybe. But other than that, I didn't own any of the systems. And I actually asked one Christmas, I was like, I really want a Sega. Why did I want a Sega? I couldn't tell you. I have no idea. I think at the time I was a kid that knew what a Sega was and knew that it was a video game thing. I don't think I knew the difference between what games were on what, and I don't even think I knew what the controllers looked like. I think, I just heard the name Sega and it was a platform, like a game platform, and I wanted that. Well, lo and behold, that happened to be the same year that the PlayStation 1 came out, and when my parents went to whatever store they went to. It might have been when GameStop first came out, or maybe it was a Best Buy. I don't remember. I don't actually think GameStop was that old though. But when they went there, the salesman, I guess, was like, "Well, you could get them one of those, but you could also get a PlayStation 1, which just came out." And I was like, "Oh, sweet! I'll get a PlayStation." So that's what I got. And so I guess I was a PlayStation kid. So I apologize for that long ramble, but I honestly couldn't be happier with that. The PlayStation 1 is maybe my favorite system of all time in terms of a lot of the games. PlayStation 2 is a good contender as well, though. Oh no, I'm at work unloading a grocery truck. Oh no. Well, you got to pop in here, I guess. Hopefully, work isn't too bad. It should suck, actually. I'm assuming you pronounce that you yelling. But that reminds me of the next piece of merchandise. And this was specifically made because this guy asked me to make it. That is this poster. Now, you might actually see, I have this poster over here. That's just, it fell off the wall. I can't rehang it up because the sticky stuff stuck to the back of it, and it's just a mess now. But it fell off the wall, and so it's just kind of sitting there. But I also got this poster. So the poster that's over there, I actually got for Christmas. When did I? No, I got that for my birthday. No, I got that for Christmas. Shit, I don't even remember. That was not last Christmas, but the Christmas before. So I actually got that poster before my book actually released. And the really cool thing about that poster is how it looked when it was hanging up. The thing that really sucks about that poster is that I didn't get the finalized version of my artwork before I got that. So my family ordered this, and you can see where my thumb is. That's the title. But the finalized artwork actually has the title on the bottom and my name up top. The artist switched positions of that because of the way it fit on the artwork later. But anyway, this is artwork I got from Teespring that doesn't have any words on it. And it actually looks really cool. I can't tell if that's coming up good enough or not, but it was actually really impressed when I opened this, the quality of it. I remember getting my first Game Boy at Circuit City. I remember Circuit City. I don't think Circuit City exists anymore, does it? If it does, they don't have as many locations. But I think PlayStation since day one for me too. Yeah, so I've actually converted. I am now an Xbox person. But I was PlayStation for 1, 2, and actually, funny story about the PlayStation 3. I got the PlayStation 3 when it first came out. That fucker cost $600, and no one else had one. So, and I used to go to my friend's house, but after school, so I'd carry this PlayStation 3 in the box the entire day, and people would be so in awe with me that I had one. And I actually had some people come up and just be like, can I please touch it? It's like, okay. So I'd open the box and they'd slide their hand across the curved part and they'd be, oh, I can't believe you have one of those. Just funny. Why are you yelling? Okay, my mistake. I'm sorry. Sometimes those usernames can be hard to tell where to break up like the letters and the syllables. Oh wow, it's huge. Yeah, the poster's pretty big. I was actually pretty surprised. I was pretty happy with it. And the quality of the image. Very impressed with that. I wish I knew which company that one came from, but I can't. I don't know. I asked at one point, but I don't think they remembered where they ordered it from. I'm really excited to see the full art of book 2 because it's going to be awesome, I think. I have it in my head how it's going to look, but all I've seen so far is the line work, I guess you'd say. And so it's hard to tell, but I'm very excited to get it on a cup like this, a mug. And even though I don't use these, I don't drink anything hot. I just like how it looks. All right, so I had something else I wanted to talk about, and I forgot what it was. So I'll just ramble about other stuff, I guess, because whatever I was going to talk about kind of flew away. But, my webcam is supposed to come tomorrow, which I'm super stoked for. But that's going to go on my desktop, which is right over there. So the background is going to change a tiny bit, I guess. It's still going to be really boring. The ironic thing is that to my right, I actually have a decent background because I have all these like Lego sets put together. I could probably show that real quick too. But I have the Millennium Falcon, a Republic gunship, and then down on that shelf there is actually a bunch of sets. It's kind of hard to see, I think, but that's Diagon Alley and other stuff. I have a glare protector because when I push my computer here, take this. This is just the instructions on my microphone. I prop it up between one of the Diagon Alley Lego sets and right over my webcam like that, and it blocks the glare from the light. Look at me go. The Last of Us just keeps knocking it out of the park. Yes, the show is really good so far, I will admit. Episode 6. Actually, I think, was that you that posted about episode 6? Someone did. Someone said how they really liked it. It is really good. I have a few complaints about a few things, but overall, I think the show is really good. Some people are annoyed with that it's not like a complete 100 to 100 adaptation, but if it was 100 to 100, it was like completely the same, I think I'd be too bored. I'm not really a big fan of 1-to-1 adaptions. I don't know. I'm weird. I like little differences. Someone said Pedro Pascal is this generation's Burt Reynolds. Maybe. I know who Burt Reynolds is, but either I wasn't around crazy fans of his, or I don't know. Actually, I think my mom used to like him, but I never really heard much talk about him, honestly. I know he was a big deal, though. But yeah, Pedro Pascal, after what happened all at once? It was like Game of Thrones, and then after that, he was in everything. It's crazy. But he's a good Joel. I still don't know that I'm sold on Bella Ramsey as Ellie. She has like the snarky part. She doesn't have like the. I don't mean this in like an attractive way, but like the cute, innocent version of Ellie. Um, she just comes off a lot like she's got like the badass, like hard ass, like snarky half of Ellie, but like the more uh I don't know, childish version, the other half of her is for me isn't really coming through, and I think that's it's fine. It's like a different character, I guess. It's just it it just feels like something's missing, I guess. I think she's doing a really good job for that half of Ellie, but I do feel like something else is missing. And here's another complaint about The Last of Us, the show. They I like all the like side tangents and all the other stuff they're doing to kind of expand the world. Having said that, I think they have really lost a lot of the relationship between Joel and Ellie. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but there are some big events that happen at the end of the show or game. And those big events, I think, might not have the same impact because the show seems like they're not really taking the time for that relationship. I don't know. It just, I think we only have 3 episodes left. And from what I know from the game, it's like not enough time to squeeze in a lot of the stuff that's going to happen while also keeping like the character development up. And so far, I haven't really felt that the character development is where it needs to be. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. Now, I think something that would have really actually helped was if they had like a moment of survival or something where maybe it shows them traveling, it shows them surviving, but maybe if they just did a little bit more of the stuff that you did in the game, like maybe they have to raid a grocery store to get some food because they don't have any food and they have to do some sneaking and they have to like rely on one another and kind of build this this relationship. I feel like we're just going through these events and yeah, we get a lot of times where they're just like sitting there talking and learning about each other, but I don't really feel like they're bonding, at least not in the same way that you do in the game. In the game, you actively take part in protecting her. You actively see his like again, I'm trying not to spoil anything, but you just see his like opinion shift and change. I think we've seen enough of that in the show that it's not really a spoiler to bring that up. Pedro is way overrated. He's just the it boy for Hollywood at this moment. He's oversaturated. I can see why you might think that. I don't know that I would agree. I really like him in a lot of stuff. I think he's great as Joel. I like him a lot as the Mandalorian. I think he does really good acting. I also understand like every big show, it's like Pedro is the star, so it's like I don't know. Uh, I think he's a great actor personally, but I also can see why people might think he's oversaturated because I think, I think factually is. I guess. Looking forward to watching the show when it's completed. Oof, you are missing out, son. The relationship between Joel and Ellie is a key piece of it. Shame it's missing. Yeah, I don't know that it's like completely missing. It just isn't fully there. I agree with Joel and Ellie's relationship differences. Man, that development in the game was super strong. Yeah, the game, uh, narratively, I think I'd be hard pressed to find a game that was better. I'm thinking about it. I really think, in terms of narrative games, The Walking Dead, the Telltale series, was a high for me. I really enjoyed Uncharted. The Divinity Original Sin games. But nothing really comes close in the same way. And then, of course, I don't know how anyone here feels about the sequel, but I am on record saying that it's one of the worst games I've played for because of the narrative. Gameplay was excellent, but it wasn't, wasn't really a difference there in terms of gameplay. Second truck is here. Good to see you on again. You're taking to it well. All right. Well, have fun unloading those trucks. Shame that you have to leave, but I understand. Work comes first, and thank you. I'm trying to make this YouTube thing a thing because I really like streaming. It's fun interacting with the comments, I think. Last of Us is definitely among my favorite game narratives. Really enjoyed Horizon and Witcher 3 as well. I've never played Horizon, and I can tell you that from the game trailers and gameplay and reviews I've seen of it, I honestly don't think that's my game. It's just the open world. I do like open world games, but they have to be a specific way, and I just don't know that one is necessarily for me. Witcher 3, on the other hand, I beat the whole game. I don't think I played or beat the DLC, though. I think it was just the core game. I don't remember. But excellent game. Here's why The Witcher 3 could never be in one of my top games narratively. I never played the first Witcher, and I played The Witcher 2, but that was a long time ago. And when that game came out, I was pretty young. Let's find out. I'm confused. I'm curious now. Witcher 2. 2011. All right, so that was a while ago. So I played The Witcher 2. I did not beat The Witcher 2, but I got pretty far into it, and I stopped, mostly because I was really lost when it came to the storyline, and because I'd never played the first one. So I can't rank The Witcher 3 super high. I can say that some of the side quests in that game have amazing stories, though. But mostly that's a me problem, not a them problem. I think it was an excellent game otherwise. Horizon does seem to not be everybody's sort of thing, but it hits me right in the feels. So that's good. Right now I'm playing Hogwarts Legacy, and that game has been spectacular. I know that's kind of a hot topic, but I'm enjoying it a lot. I love Horizon, actually. Really excited for the DLC. So this is kind of an interesting thing to talk about too, is DLC. I've only ever purchased DLC for, I think, one single player game, and the rest were map packs for like Call of Duty or other online games. But the games that I've bought DLC for that weren't multiplayer games, Dragon Age, I think, was the only game. If Mass Effect had packs, then I bought those too. I just don't remember if it did. But the Dragon Age games, I bought the DLC for those games. I forgot to mention Mass Effect and Dragon Age for narrative games earlier, but those are some of my favorite games of all time. Never played Witcher 1 or 2, so credit to the writing that I got into it. Wow, I'm surprised that you were able to get into that without playing either game. Like, the gameplay is excellent for The Witcher 3, and I even kind of had an idea of what was going on, and I did not get the narrative there too much. I mean, I beat the game, but a lot of it I didn't understand. I didn't play Horizon. My son did, and he gave up halfway in. Said it bored him to tears. Yeah, I guess, it's to each their own. For me, the game just, I don't know. It just didn't speak to me when I saw it, I guess. And generally when I see gameplay for a game, I can kind of tell if I'm going to like it or not. And the open world action typically isn't my thing anyway. The Witcher was an exception for that, though. I've had the itch to go back to Mass Effect, just the first and maybe second game. That third game can burn alive. All right, let's get into some hot takes. Oh, yes, Mass Effect, the trilogy was incredible. Okay, so Mass Effect. What are my thoughts on Mass Effect? Because I'm going to probably piss a lot of people off here. So Mass Effect 1. When I played it, when it first came out, it was quite possibly my favorite game of all time. I loved number 1. And so you could probably surmise that I've played every single Mass Effect after that on release date. And if you did assume that, you would be correct. So Mass Effect 2, I thought in a lot of ways was a lot better than 1. I liked a lot of the companions. I liked the story, but I fucking hated how the game was structured. I fucking hated that you could go to the end whenever you wanted to. I hated that I just didn't like the narrative structure of that game. I loved almost everything else about it, but it just annoyed me that it was like, you can go to the end now. And I'm like, as someone who likes to do every single like quest and do all the side content and all that stuff, it kind of just annoyed me that I could go to the end, like from the beginning of the game almost. And I don't know, I just didn't like that. And that's that. So then, oh, I'm ready to be pissed. Okay, well, get ready because it's coming. So Mass Effect 3. Let me say that the ending of Mass Effect 3 was quite possibly one of the worst endings of something ever, especially if that was just how the series ended and they hadn't said anything, it would have been fine. The problem with the ending with it is that they hyped it during every single game release with all your choices are going to matter. Everything is going to be like crazy dependent on your choices. They're going to carry through the games. And then the end of the series was the fat, wet fart where none of your choices mattered. And that was the part that sucked about the last one. However, the story was so good up until then. A lot of the companions were awesome. Forgot his name. What, Morbin, the Solarian. I loved him. He was my favorite. I loved that whole scene with him at the end. I just loved that game in a lot of ways. But yeah, there was some problems with it. I love the third Mass Effect because you see the consequences of war, so much loss and so many big events, like a nonstop emotional ride. Yes, that was like why the third one was awesome. I'm guessing this comment, yes, is to my thoughts on Mass Effect 2, I think is one that popped up, right? So, hot take. Let's get into Andromeda. People fucking hated that game, right? There are like 5 actual story missions in Mass Effect 2. 80% of the game was loyalty missions. It's still good, though. Yeah, the game kind of, I don't know. But Andromeda, fucking amazing game. And I know that is a huge hot take, but aside from a lot of the obvious issues, you had, the fucking faces and the animations were terrible. But the going away from the Shepard saga, I loved that so much. It was a huge breath of fresh air. And it was a whole new area, and the literal point of it was exploration, which I thought was one of my favorite parts of the original series. So exploring this new like area, and the environmental graphics at the time were awesome. The gameplay was great. My 2 big issues with Andromeda was I hated the companions. I just couldn't stand them. And I also had the same problems that other people had with the animations. My face is tired. Everyone knows that. But otherwise, I know it's a hot take, but I love that game. And I was so sad that they like ramped back development because I wanted the DLCs for Andromeda. I need to dive into the new version of Mass Effect they put out. It has all the DLCs too, so lots I haven't ever even seen. Yeah, so this is funny. I bought that. The Legacy Edition, I think it's called. I bought that, and I played it for 2 seconds and never played it again. And I think I spent like what, $60, $70 on that. Oh well. But I'm not a guy that replays games, so I don't know why I bought it in the first place. Well, I do know why I bought it, and it was to support BioWare because after Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem, they still are in the shithole, and they needed a success. So I bought it because I want them to stay in business. They did actually expand the ending of Mass Effect 3 to try to fix it, but yes, that's the part that hurt the game. But everything leading up to that ending was excellent. Yeah, I actually I remember because I had that game when it first came out, so I experienced the game. I might have even beaten it before they patched that in. I think I did, and then they announced that they were going to release a fixed ending, and the ending consisted of a cinematic and then 3 choices, I think, and then the choices were just stupid. But I guess it fixed it a tiny bit. But either way, I don't know. Hot take, nah, bro. That's everyone's take. The ending isn't the worst part. The writing was worse. The game made Mass Effect 2 relevant. Gameplay was normie shooter shit, no RPG elements. I would like to respond to this, but it's been so long since I've played the trilogy that I can't really remember a lot of the specifics. So responding to this is difficult for me because I know that I remember it being a lot different, but it's been so long. In Andromeda, I found out I was able to accurately create Fry from Futurama. Unfortunately, once I did that, the good times were officially concluded for me. So I just really liked the idea that it was like this whole new area. You were a whole new person. You were a person that you created, which I like a lot more than being like you're John Shepard and that's who you are. I like the idea of exploring a whole new area, but I was really annoyed that they didn't have more alien species that were new. It just had the enemy. And a few creatures I think you shot, but otherwise it seemed pretty like empty for what it should have been. My problem with Andromeda was I played it immediately after finishing the trilogy, and after all the emotion, Andromeda made me feel nothing. Okay, I definitely remember that, but I couldn't remember. I don't remember what I was feeling at the time when I played it, but I was thinking maybe it's because it's the first. But no, I think it was probably just the writing wasn't as good, maybe, but it's hard to say. One thing Andromeda did get right was planetary exploration, the best since Mass Effect 1. As bad as it was, I loved exploring in the Mako. Yeah, that's what I loved about Andromeda was the exploration was amazing. And the environmental graphics were just so good compared to any of the other Mass Effect games. Just awesome. Which is kind of funny because then they're well, I think I'm saying this right. Wasn't their next game Inquisition? Dragon Age Inquisition? Or did Andromeda come out after that? I think Inquisition came out first, right? Or second, I mean. No, it was Inquisition and then Andromeda because Andromeda flopped and then Anthem flopped. And that's why we're in a shithole with BioWare as we are now. And this might be a hot take. I don't know. But I fucking hated Inquisition. My God, was that game full of busy work. I never finished Andromeda because I just couldn't care anymore, but I think I didn't give a fair shake either. I may try again. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. You might like it if you give it a fair shake. You might not. I don't know. I love that game for some things, but I also hated it for others. There was so much promise because it was like a whole new area or whatever. I had the same problem with Inquisition. Loved Dragon Age 1, but Inquisition was such an emotionless grind. So I also think I have some hot takes about Dragon Age because I really liked number 1. And then I think number 2 might have been my favorite in terms of story. I don't know. Number 1 had a really good story, but I liked the gameplay more in number 1 as well, I think. But I really liked the companions in number 2, I think. My only problem with number 2 was it was very clear that they reused like dungeons and assets and stuff, and that was super frustrating and annoying. But Dragon Age 3, oof. It had such an empty open world. It was insane. And the amount of time that you spent in between story quests was absurd. It was like you had to do, you didn't have to. You could go through the game quickly, but like I said earlier, I like to do all the side quests and I like to if I'm really into a game, I want to like do as much of it as possible. I've maxed the achievements for Dragon Age 2. I don't think I maxed Dragon Age 3 because I think I made a mistake somewhere, and then I like realized I would have had to play another like 80 hours to like get the last 2 achievements. I don't remember, but I couldn't play that game again if I wanted to. God, it was so boring. The highlight on Dragon Age 3 is the beautiful main menu and epic background music for the menu. Yeah, that's about it. Funny thing about Dragon Age 3 is that when you pull that game up, you can almost feel like you're about to jump into like Skyrim or something just from that music. You're like, oh, that's where they got their inspiration, was the like Bethesda main menus. And then you start playing it, and Inquisition, if I remember right, it started out like awesome. And then you got to, I think it was like a place called the Highlands. I can't remember. And there's like this huge open plains. And from then on, the game was just like absurdly boring. And the open world areas were so massive and empty. It was like, why am I doing this? It was like BioWare made an Ubisoft game before Ubisoft had really like figured out their open worlds. I say figured out, but I hate Ubisoft games. So what I mean is really that they, ruined their games. But right, exactly. This is going to be a great adventure, and it wasn't. Yeah, it was just so bad. So boring. I don't know. I just didn't care. And then like you played the DLCs for Inquisition, and they were all so boring except for the last one. And the last one, okay, spoilers for anyone who hasn't finished Inquisition. Actually, I don't want to ruin it for anyone, but I'm not going to spoil it. I will say it with very vague language. The last DLC for Dragon Age Inquisition tells you the villain of Dragon Age 4. And the villain is somebody that you know in Inquisition. And that reveal was shocking and fixed a very boring character that I hated in Inquisition. Here's my hot take. The politics in the Star Wars prequels wasn't boring. It just didn't belong in Star Wars. Okay. Where do I go with this? Because I don't disagree with some of it, but I also understand why it was in the movies. Star Wars, I already know that you and I have like the most opposing view of Star Wars. But the politics, yeah, I mean, I understand it. I was okay with the politics. It's the romance angle that botched everything up. And even then, I kind of have a hot take, probably. George Lucas can't write romance. He just didn't have to in the original trilogy because anytime Han and Leia got close, they'd make some sarcastic remark and move on. Okay, fair, but in their own right, they had their own romantic story, sort of. But, and I know this is kind of a hot take. Aside from some of the cringy one-liners, "Are you an angel?" I hate sand. I think those are the two big ones. Didn't mind the romance that much. Actually, okay, in The Phantom Menace, it was super cringy because she was like 14 and he's like 9, and even though that age range isn't like the worst gap ever, I guess, in the movies, it appeared way worse because the actress was not like 14. She was in like what, her 20s, or I don't know, 19 maybe. I don't remember how old she was, but she did not look 14. So I think that was the big problem. But in episode 2, I didn't hate it. Certainly certainly romance could be written better. Oh, the romance didn't do it any favors. It might have worked if Lucas knew how to write good dialogue and if the actors had any chemistry. Yeah. Although I can't personally say that I thought there was no chemistry between Anakin and Padme. Could have been stronger, I suppose. I never had a problem with that romance. There was cringy parts around it. Like I said, the sand thing was pretty bad, and the Tusken Raider slaughtering was kind of funny when he comes back and like whines about that. I killed them all. But overall, I don't know. I've always preferred the prequels to the original trilogy. I know that's like sacrilege, but A New Hope was always super boring to me. Well, as a kid, I really liked it, but once I got to the other movies, it was hard to rewatch that movie. Empire Strikes Back was pretty good. As a child, Return of the Jedi was always my favorite, but as I've aged, Empire Strikes Back was always my favorite of the originals. But I would rank Episode 2 and Episode 3 above the original trilogy. I think it's been a while since I watched all of them, but The Phantom Menace. New Hope is boring to you? There's your hot take. Yeah, I rewatched it recently and I wanted to fall asleep. I was like, and I love Star Wars and I've always loved A New Hope, but like, it's it's the very typical cliche hero's journey, which is fine. But if you think about the plot, not like a ton happens. Luke gets rescued and they take a long time to kind of get the band together, and then you get the destroying of the Death Star, and you get the world's most lame lightsaber fight, and I don't know. Yeah, New Hope is pretty far down on my Star Wars movies ratings list. I know that's pretty crazy, but hey, my answer to that is the world would be a boring place if we didn't have different opinions. I originally liked the prequel trilogy because teenage me loved Star Wars, and they were the first I got to see in theaters, but yeah, they're bad. They were also the first I got to see in theaters, but I still maintain that they're better. And I know that's pretty crazy. Hot take: the Star Wars fandom is so toxic because they take it too seriously. These movies are all flawed, but all a great time. Just enjoy them and stop acting like this is the best writing ever. All right. Anybody who says that Star Wars is the best writing ever is an idiot. I don't think that liking Star Wars, I am just guessing here, so don't take my words as gospel, but I'm just guessing that the reason 99.9% of people that like Star Wars, the reason they like it, I don't think it's the writing. I think it's everything else. I could be wrong. There probably are some people out there that think it has like the best writing of all time. My problem is, I think I understand why people don't like the writing of the prequel trilogy. I liked it. I think maybe it was weaker written than the original trilogy. I still liked it more. But a lot of the problems people had with the original trilogy are things that I actually liked. I kind of liked that we went back to the Jedi Council and they had this more like explained in scientific way of like talking about the Force. I thought that made sense because there were a lot more Jedi. There were a lot more focus on like, training and stuff. So it made sense that they understood it more. But I honestly, in my response to this comment is that while the first 6 might be flawed, I think that there is a good, cohesive, interesting story and world there. But anybody who likes the sequel series, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, doesn't understand Star Wars because, my God, did that series really butcher a lot of like known Star Wars like lore and science and stuff. My point is, people do take it way too seriously. I can see it being done really well by someone else with George's input. The latest trilogy wasn't it. Yeah, the latest trilogy I thought was just trash. But here's a hot take. The other movies that Disney released, what is it? Rogue One. That was a really good movie. I don't think that's a hot take to say that Rogue One is the best movie that that Disney Star Wars has put out. But I also really like Solo, and I think that's a hot take. But there was so many good and interesting things about Solo. The only thing that sucked for me about that movie was Donald Glover does not make Lando. I think he was terrible. But, also the Lando story in general was kind of weird. I can handle less than stellar writing, but the sequels were failures in fundamental storytelling. No amount of sizzle can hide the fact that the steak was overcooked. I'm right there with you. I cannot even believe that they didn't have a plan for the movies. That I'm a pantser as a writer, so I write and develop the story as I go. I think that's a very valid way of writing. However, if you're writing a trilogy of movies, you need to either pants the movies, fine, but you need them all written before you start filming, or you need to have an outline, because I finished the first movie and I don't know where it's going thing was ridiculous. And then they brought in Rian Johnson to do the second one, and that was where everything went wrong. Holy crap, he just ruined everything. And then for some reason they said, hey, Abrams, come in here and fix this. And when I heard that announced, I was like, are you guys fucking stupid? When has J.J. Abrams ever written an ending to anything that anyone liked? He's notorious for doing terrible endings. And of course, predictively, it was terrible. Same thing I see with Jurassic Park. First movie was great. Second was pretty good, but it was just a good time. Although the last one, Dominion, was so bad, I even struggled with it. All right. Here's maybe a hot take. I don't know. I fucking hated every single one of those Jurassic Park movies. I actually didn't watch the third one. I watched the first two, and I thought they were both terrible. And the reason why I thought the Jurassic Park movies were terrible is because they were so tame, it wasn't even funny. There was never any sense of danger. No one ever died. It was so weird. I was like, how am I watching a Star Wars? How am I watching a Jurassic Park movie where I just don't feel scared? And maybe scared's the wrong word, but like, I don't feel tension. I don't feel the characters don't feel scared to me. They feel invincible. I don't know. Jurassic Park felt like Disney-fied. I guess that's the best word for it, right? Rogue One was the best. Solo was okay and would be better as its own thing rather than the Star Wars universe. I don't know. I actually like Star Wars or Solo as a Star Wars movie. I really liked I forgot the character's name, but the actress played Daenerys in Game of Thrones. I liked her character a lot, and that whole storyline. And then the reveal of Darth Maul was awesome, and I was so excited for more of that. And then they canceled the Solo sequel, I think it was. I did like Star Wars Episode 7. I felt that was a really solid start to a new trilogy. Then it all fell apart. Yeah. I came out of Star Wars Episode 7 not happy, not excited. I just came out like, well, that was a shit movie because it just felt like A New Hope all over again. But I was super excited for the next two. I was like, okay, so they kind of retreaded an old familiar story. Fine. I get that. And now we're going to get some cool shit. And I felt like they had a lot of promising threads, and then they ruined it all. What they did to Snoke was ridiculous. What they did with Kylo and Rey was ridiculous. What they did with Rey's background, ridiculous. What they did with Captain Phasma, ridiculous. What they did with Finn, ridiculous. What they did with Chewbacca, ridiculous. What they did with C-3PO, ridiculous. And it just goes on. Oh, and Rose Tico, ridiculous. Exactly. For all the flaws the prequels had, at least the narrative was consistent thanks to Lucas being the sole creative voice. Yeah. The Jurassic Park book, which was the first novel I ever read, was straight up sci-fi horror. Spielberg's movie was more about the wonder and adventure. I don't know. I never read the book, but I did really like the. I almost said the first three movies, and that was almost a terrible thing to say. I love Jurassic Park, and I love Jurassic Park. The Lost World I think is what it's called, right? But number 3 was terrible. So don't mishear that. I fucking hated that movie. The raptors in the kitchen scene in Jurassic Park 1 made kid me scared, but otherwise I was surprised to hear it's supposed to be horror, but I love that movie. Yeah, I don't think there's anything horrifying about Jurassic Park in any of the 6 movies except for the kitchen scene. And the kitchen scene was absolutely terrifying. I saw that movie in theaters actually, and I don't remember when that came out, but I must have been super young. Did I see the first one in theaters? I'm pretty sure I did. But when did that come out? Of course, I forgot to type in a movie. That doesn't help. Jurassic Park. 1993. So I was 5 when that came out. I know I saw that movie in theater, but I don't understand. I wonder if they did a re-release at some point, because I certainly don't remember seeing it when I was 5. Man, I feel like they had to have done a re-release. I know I saw that first movie in theaters. People complained about it being too much like A New Hope, but that's what I liked about it. Yeah, see, that was my biggest problem with it. I didn't like that. If I wanted to watch A New Hope, I'd watch A New Hope. But, I understand that some people like it. Read the book. It's a very different creature than the movie. The character is almost entirely different from the movie counterparts. I've heard that. One thing I've always heard was I forgot his name, but the old guy that creates the park, the scientist with the glasses. I heard he's like the biggest asshole in the books. 1993, yeah. 2 was in 1997. I saw the second in theaters and every one of them since. Yeah, I know I saw number 2 in theaters. I don't know if I saw number 3. I think I saw number 3 on a rent, I think we rented it after it came out. I don't think we saw that in theaters. And I saw the new one, the Chris Pratt, the first one in theaters. I don't think I saw the second one in theaters, but I don't remember. And I didn't see the third one at all. I heard that no one dies in the third one. And when I heard that on a review, I was like, yeah, I'm not watching this. I know, because I was 12 and saw it 3 times in theaters. Oh, nice. Yeah, I know I saw the first movie in theaters, but there's no way I went when I was 5. I remember my younger sister and my brother saw it too. And I would have said that my brother might have been 5. He was pretty young when we saw it. And maybe my memory is just wrong. But I swear to God, I saw that movie in theaters. I don't know. Maybe they did a re-release. I really don't know. I wish I could find out, because I have very strong. I remember the vibrations of the T-Rex footsteps in the theater, like looking at the puddle, and Ian Malcolm, I think his name is, running into the outhouse. Jurassic Park 1 movie release. I just want to see if there's like a proof that this came out at some point, because I just want to know. I'm so confused. Re-releases in anticipation of Blu-ray. Had a digital. Oh, that is not in the theaters. Damn it. I don't know. It's a big enough movie where it's believable that they did re-release it at some point, though, I'm guessing. But whatever. I'm wasting time and being distracted, so I apologize. But sometimes my curiosity gets the better of me. If you read the book, it will feel like a best of Jurassic Park movies album. Many scenes in the first book happened in sequels, The Waterfall in 2 and The Aviary in 3. Oh, that's cool. The Aviary was the only interesting and cool part of number 3. But shit, number 3 was so bad. Dominion was a mess. It had its moments, but it badly needed re-editing. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen it. And not a single thing anyone has ever said or written about it has gotten me wanting to. They re-released the movie in theaters for the 25th anniversary. Took my son to it. The sound of the theater makes it a much more dynamic experience and makes a huge difference. Yeah, I saw that. It came out again in the 25th anniversary, and that's really cool. I just wish I could have found when it came out, the time or when I saw it in theaters. One of the biggest things that bothered me about Dominion is they basically threw out the premise from the end of the second one. Dinosaurs are loose became not anymore right from the start. Oh, see, that's so stupid because that was like, I remember watching the second movie, which I wasn't a big fan of, and then the end happened, and all the dinosaurs were like roaming everyone. I was like, oh, fuck. This sequel is going to be so good. Then I heard it wasn't, and I think I mentioned earlier that I read that no one dies in it, and I was like, how is that possible if they're all loose everywhere? But if they're not, then that makes sense. That is a shame, though, because that was such a good idea. You know what would be a really cool idea for a movie or a show? Actually, I'd so much rather a show. How cool would this be if you did the quality of a Jurassic Park movie? So you have like the really good CGI, and then you do like a post-apocalyptic story set in like that universe. You did like The Last of Us, or you did like The Walking Dead, except instead it's dinosaurs and it's like people trying to survive. I've always wanted a show like that. When I was a kid, there was some like dinosaur shows on. I don't remember the names of any of them, but it was the Lost World one. I don't remember. There were a couple. Dinotopia was one, but these were all like PG, like anyone can watch them shows. And I always wanted like a more adult version. I just thought that'd be so cool. Imagine an HBO like post-apocalyptic dinosaur scene. I don't know. It'd be really cool. The Aviary originally had Grant and the kids. Great book scene. The movie did have a better ending though. Okay, cool. The Aviary was just so cool. Honestly, everything visual about the original Jurassic Park movies were so cool. I don't remember really being blown away from the new Jurassic Park movies. I honestly thought a lot of it was kind of silly, like the whole Velociraptor training thing. I don't know. And I don't know, something about the dinosaurs. I just didn't think they looked as good. But it's been a while since I've actually seen it, so I don't really know. But I don't know. Jurassic Park is one of those franchises that I just don't expect will ever get back to like the roots of it being good. I don't know. Is Jurassic Park owned by Disney now? I can't remember. Jurassic Park movies just retell the same story over and over. It's very played out. Yeah, I know. I don't get that because you have this awesome IP and the potential to do some really cool things with it, and they don't. And it's weird to me. Like, I just don't understand why not do something different. But, you know, I think that's just where Hollywood writing in general is. And nowadays, it's just like, oh, well, this worked, so now let's do it again. And then, oh, this worked with Star Wars, so now let's do it with, I don't know an example. Some other franchise. Oh, Marvel does it. We'll do it with our thing. So, I don't know. I just wish that they would branch. I think that's why I like TV now so much, because there's a lot of good TV and a lot of original writing with TV. But like Hollywood, I don't know if it's in a cost thing, but they're just like, oh, we know what's going to happen if we don't sell a lot. So we have to make sure that it appeals to a broad audience. And apparently Hollywood thinks that a broad audience is stupid and wants the same thing over and over again. So I don't know. Same reason Hollywood is all remakes for series. Yeah, I know. It's all about that cash because they know that the IP basically that's what it is. The IP brings in money and movies are expensive, so they don't want to lose out. I saw it on Twitter a month back. I'm okay with rebooting Jurassic Park as a TV show, but stick to the book narrative, keep its original horror tone, and call it Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park. I'd be down for that, the reboot. Yeah, I think it would be really, 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 really cool to do a TV show about Jurassic Park. You could even reboot it. Start from having the park open and then do whatever. Personally, and I don't know if this is a hot take or not, this generally goes for most adaptations and reboots and stuff. Instead of doing the same characters, the same world again, I would much rather they like do something original. So that'd be my choice. I got to run and get some work done. Great stream, John. Take care. Thanks. You take care as well. Thanks for the fun conversation. I hope it was interesting. I'm not the best streamer, but I'm trying, and that's all that can be said about that, I guess. I do enjoy the interaction with comments, though. It's fun. It's definitely fun. Even if we disagree, I don't mind disagreeing as long as we can mutually agree to disagree without hating each other. Hate that. I like this. I can't believe you like that. You're an idiot. I just don't like that. I've got to go in 15 minutes myself. Appreciate the conversation. Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. It's been another hour and 20 minutes of a pretty decent stream. Appreciate everyone that showed up. It was fun. And next time will be a new webcam, I think. And I'm going to try not to make any videos either until I have my new webcam because quality is just going to be way better. So we're disagreeing about entertainment. I don't get why people take that so seriously. I don't know. I can say something like, I hate the Rings of Power, and all of a sudden everyone's super angry and offended, and I'm like, why? It's weird. Or what was another one? The Rings of Power was one, but there was another one that I mentioned on Twitter a while ago, and people were like, what the fuck is wrong with you? It's like, why do you care? But I guess in the writing / book community, the one that usually really irks people is that I don't like, Tolkien and Lord of the Rings. And people get irate over that. It's kind of funny. I don't understand. You can like it. You can consume it. And if I don't like it and I don't consume it, it does not affect you at all. And it's just strange that people, I had this one conversation. I had this one conversation on a Discord server about Tolkien. I had mentioned on that I don't like Tolkien. I don't like Lord of the Rings. And that person lost their shit, and they said, I'm a terrible person. They knew I was a writer, and they said that your books have to be terrible. Your books are obviously trash if you're not taking after Tolkien, and I will never buy or read your books. And I was like, really? Like, it's fine that they're not going to buy or read my books. I don't care about that. But like, holy shit. Why would that be such a triggering moment? It's weird. And don't even go into Hogwarts Legacy. Been enjoying that myself, other than weird problematic issues. Yeah, you mentioned that game, and you're like a bigot just for playing it. And I actually lost some friends on Twitter because I was playing it, and they thought I was the worst person in the world. Like, it's weird that I'm free to wander the countryside and rack up a body count that would make Voldemort blush. Doesn't feel right for a new student. So I agree. And you can use the unforgivable curses without any unforgivingness. Right? You can use them all and no one really cares, apparently. I haven't really gotten to that point, but I think that's weird. But they didn't make a morality system. I have a few issues with Hogwarts Legacy. Overall, I'd say I'd probably give the game for enjoyment and how much I'm liking it like a 10 out of 10. But I do have criticisms, and one of them certainly is outside of the main story and the side quests. The game is they have really good exploration, but in terms of like things to do, there isn't much. And my biggest complaint is maybe the common rooms and classes. So common rooms, I thought we'd be spending more time in. I thought it'd be kind of this like social hub where you'd like get to know your like classmates and you'd get to talk to them and form these cool relationships. But that's not in the game at all. And then classes, I was super disappointed by because I thought that you'd go to class and actually like do stuff, and you do for like the first two classes a little bit, and then after that, you don't really do anything in classes. And I thought that was a huge letdown. Game mechanics versus story, I guess they didn't strike the right balance, but it's still really fun. Yeah, I'm having a blast with it. I love the game. I think I'm 30 hours in. I've had a ton of fun with it. I love it all. It's just there's some things I wish that were in it as well. But it was also their like first serious game like that, the developers, and the first Harry Potter game that's like that. And hopefully there's no way they don't make a sequel now with how big this game is and how many sales they've made. So I think that a sequel, if they took everything they had from this and they expanded on it, put Quidditch in it, put some fun mini games. I can't believe that Gobstones isn't in it or something. You could have a bunch of cool games, Wizard's Chess they could put in. You could do all these like cool things to do with people, and maybe make a little bit of the world a bit more interactive. Like they have Zonko's Joke Shop, but why? Because you can't do anything in there. I get it's there because it's there in Hogsmeade, but there's no reason to go in there. And it would just be, there's a lot of improvements they could make that would make it really good. As far as all the politics behind it, all sorts of terrible people are behind mainstream entertainment. If I avoided buying anything from people who say stupid things, I'd not buy any of it. That was my argument on Twitter. I said, like, hey, I get, maybe you don't like Rowling. That's fine. But for me, I'm just going to not care about what people say. And people thought I was a terrible person. And I was like, dude, you're on Twitter, which is owned by Elon Musk now, on a phone or computer that is either made by Apple or Microsoft, which both do things like get their technological parts from overseas countries like China or Korea, I think. I don't know where else. But anyway, these chips and stuff that come from like actual slave labor camps and stuff. And then you can make the argument that technology that like you need a computer, sure. But then let's think about this for a second. Harvey Weinstein, he got, we all know what happened with him. We all know all the gross stuff that he did. His name is attached to so many movies. Now, I don't even think you can find all the movies that he's attached to because he had a bunch of companies that like, I don't know. He just had this huge spider web basically of stuff. Am I now supposed to go online, research Harvey Weinstein, find every single movie that he touched and not watch them? I don't have time to care about what person did what. And if you look at anything in the world, I guarantee you at some point during its production line, it's touched some bigot somewhere. I wish the RPG elements were deeper too. Feels like a much less developed Witcher 3, and even having house points would make you feel more connected to the student experience. Yeah, I know. And then they even tied house points into the narrative in such a terrible way. They'd be like, yes, points for Gryffindor. And you're like, what? First of all, how many points? And second of all, there's no counter. There's nowhere to see these points. It just is kind of ridiculous that they even use that sentence, but whatever. I do wish that they had points, house points in Quidditch, and I really want more one-on-one interaction with the characters. Like, imagine if you got house points for performance or choices you make. Yeah, exactly. I can't believe that's not a system. If there's one thing in the game I just am stunned that isn't in the game, it's a house point system. I was not surprised Quidditch wasn't in it. There's a lot of things that aren't in the game that I'm not surprised by. I'm floored that there's not a house point system. It just seems like such an easy thing to integrate. You do this choice, you get good points. The counter here goes up, and that's all you have to do. And you could even, and then at the end of the year when they do the announcement of who won, it's only got to be like a 1 or 2 sentence speech from the headmaster, and that's that, and then it's done. It didn't have to be a huge deal. I just can't believe that it wasn't in there. But whatever. What can you do? You can't have everything. And I'm not pissed that it's not in there. I don't understand why it's not in there, but I still love the game. It's a good game. Pretty excited for it. And sadly, I was actually getting really excited to try out, what's the game called? It's called Atomic Heart. But the reviews for that game have been pretty bad. So I'm not going to even bother. Oh well. Well, anyway, I guess you got to go now, and you're the only one here, and I should probably get ready to wrap this up. It really is enjoyable. I've struggled to get into new games lately, but this one mostly hits the spots. Yeah, I agree. Single-player games, especially lately, I've just not been able to get into, and but this one has been a blast. I love it. It's been really fun. There are a lot of flaws. I'll give it that, but just comparing it to a lot of the other games and what I look for in a game, I'd still say it's a 10 out of 10 so far for me. And actually, I had the story spoiled because of assholes online that are like, everyone's a bigot, so I'm going to ruin the game for everyone. And so they posted story spoilers, and that really pissed me off because, no matter how much I disagree or agree with someone, I wouldn't try and spoil games for them. And if you ignore that you're a student, you're basically an or, and that's great. Yeah, it is funny how the story works, because when you're just roaming the land and you're talking to people in different places, like people that give you side quests, they're like, yeah, there's this huge creature over here, and I'm too scared to deal with it. Will you go kill it? And you're like, I'm a student at Hogwarts, but whatever. I'd give the game 8 out of 10. I saw the same spoilers, but don't care. It's greater than some of its parts, really. Yeah, the spoilers were vague enough that, like, whatever. And the story is not like a 10 out of 10 crazy awesome story. It's really just the experience of the game. That is why I have been enjoying it. But what can you do? I can't believe that out of all the things that we're doing a backlash on, it's that. And people are annoyed about giving money to Rolling from game sales. And it's like, dude, out of all the things that she makes money from, the game is like pennies, the games and the Legos and the Universal Studios. That's like so much more money. So it's just kind of weird that this is what's being boycotted. I mean, I don't care. Boycott whatever you want, but don't ruin the experience for me. And the thing that really annoys me and makes me sad is because I want to play the game, I'm automatically an enemy of everyone who's against it. It's like, no, that's not really the case. But, whatever. I had a lot of people angry at me on Twitter, and just going to live my life and play what I want and not worry about who made what, because it's too hard. It's not worth worrying about who made what. It's fashionable outrage. Unfortunately, people move on eventually. Yeah, there will be something new to cancel and be mad over, and that's that, I guess. I understand maybe boycotting something or being mad about something. I don't understand like attacking all the people that consume it. It's just weird to me. It's a very strange tactic. It's not how you get more friends, for one. I get it to a point, but I feel like there are other things people should be worried about. Yeah, and that's my biggest issue is like you're making a big issue about Rolling's opinions. Rowling could have even worse opinions on things. There are still far, far worse things in the world than what Rowling thinks about anything or anyone thinks about anything. It's just weird. She has a huge platform. Okay, who cares? There's a lot of big platforms out there that spew a lot of terrible things, way worse than hers too. And you know what? There's a lot of huge platforms that spew good things. And so whatever, who cares? Just don't listen to her. I don't get it. It's weird. Listen to people you want to listen to. I mean, I don't like Alex Jones. He has a fucking huge platform. I'm not out there attacking everyone who likes him. Why would I? It's so stupid. You're just going to push them more into his fan base. And frankly, it's not up to me what people consume or like. I don't care. But didn't really mean to make this about politics. But yeah, I guess that's a good place to end it. So hopefully in a few days I'll have my new webcam. We can do this again. It's been fun, and I appreciate everyone who showed up. Yep, you're welcome. Thanks for showing up. Goodbye, everyone.